Welcome back to KTN Prime. It's now time for a studio conversation. I'm joined by the sharpest minds on Kenyan television tonight. Allow me to introduce the two legislators joining me in studio. I'll first begin with Daktari. He's Dr. John Mutunga, the Member of Parliament from Tigania West. Daktari, thank you so much for your time. Karibu sana to our studios.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Equally joined by John Kagushia, who is the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency. Kagushia, thank you so much for your time. Karibu sana.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can start with your reflections on Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, who haven't pulled their punches as always. They've said it as it is. The headline tomorrow is the big con, and we're focusing our lenses on the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagat, who today, through court filings, has mentioned that, you know what, I wasn't on compulsory leave. Actually, I hadn't stepped aside for investigations into the death of Albert Ojwang. I had actually just taken annual leave, a couple of days, 18 days thereabout, and my boss, Douglas Kanja, actually wished me a restful leave. So, Kagushi, I'd like to begin with you. Who's fooling whom here?
No, Kenyans are fooled, and everyone knows that this country is being run on deception. Everyone is deceiving, and the inspiration now in this country really is to just lie to people. And that is where we are not surprised that the Deputy Inspector General, Lagat, did lie. These days, lying to Kenyans is like the normal occurrence. If you don't lie to Kenyans, then you probably look like you're the odd one out. Unfortunately, this is a culture that is being generated in this country, and this culture is not good at all. It's something that we must discourage. And that is why I want to call on the president to please lead this country now out of this deceptive agenda, this deceptive mindset, so that as a country we can refocus ourselves and refresh ourselves. I think we need to reboot somehow. We need to just switch off everything in this country and reboot and start afresh so that we can now start looking at things from a truthful perspective. And that's why I think Rigathi Gachagua could not survive in the system, because he came out as a person who talked the truth. And, you know, he talked about the truth as I think as bold as a Standard Group does it. And so it's unfortunate that we lost a gentleman by the name Mwalimu Ojwang. And as we talk until today, we know very well that the complaints as to why he was arrested were brought by the Deputy IG. But nobody has ever really talked about those complaints. What was it about? And Kenyans would probably want to know. And maybe I also want to challenge you to now start digging deep into what is it that the IG had complained about. Because it is alleged that Mwalimu Ojwang had brought about a string of corrupt dealings in police, and that there's some money that was being collected. I think that's what was alleged that he had raised. And when he raised that, there were concerns from the system that this gentleman has true information and factual information about what really is happening. And so they wanted to grill him, and of course they ended up torturing him to bring out the information as to exactly where he got that information from. And that is how Ojwang lost his life. Now, it seems like because Ojwang is dead and buried, now the guy can now resurface, and happily so, and can even go ahead and mock Kenyans by telling them, even though I said I have stepped aside, by the way, I never stepped aside. I only proceeded on leave. And that is why we must continue the pressure for DIG to take responsibility for what happened to Ojwang, and also what is happening in police in terms of abduction, disappearances, arbitrary arrests. I mean, he must take accountability. He must be accountable to that. And he must bow out of that position.
Interesting. Mutunga, I'd like your take on this, because not too long ago, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, actually, after comments from members of the public concerned that the DIG might be coming back, they mentioned that investigations are still ongoing and they haven't cleared the Deputy Inspector General of Police. Perhaps he's still a person of interest in the investigations. What do you make of this move by the Deputy Inspector General to say, hey, I was simply on leave. It wasn't stepping aside as I'd indicated in a letter.
I have just seen that headline in your screen.
Yes.
I haven't read the story. I probably missed out something between Parliament and now.
Understandable.
Between 7 o'clock and now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be very confident to say that, to put content into this, into the fact that, for instance, to bring in the cause-effect relationship. In science, there are some factors we call counterfactors. Counterfactors are the indicators that measure the cause-effect relationship. And when it comes to the death of Ojwang and the cause of death of Ojwang, clearly linked to the DIG, and I'm not talking from the point of investigation, I'm talking from the point of science. Yeah. I would look at what indicators would we use to measure that, to pin him clearly, so that we may hold him responsible for the death. I'm not defending but what I'm trying to say is that as a person, I cannot be very confident and say, this is the person who caused the death of, Ojwang. There are people in court, in custody right now, who are supposed to be facing the jury for the burden of proof, if, of course, they are clearly linked to the murder. Coming back to your question, what would I say if, of course, I've said I haven't read the story, but if we said that I was actually on leave, and if we told Kenyans that maybe we need to refresh our memory. Did he tell Kenyans that I'm actually taking leave of absence? Or just step aside? Maybe that's what we need to confirm. So if he says that he was actually not on leave, which I think we need to confirm by morning when you read this story, then there is an element of deception that I would admit, because it doesn't clearly fall into a fact that he told Kenyans the truth. Now, when it comes to branding the country as a country of deception and accepting the fact that we are a people who are being threatened, who are interpreting everything in terms of deception, it means we are trying to admit this as a fact of life, and it means all of us. Because if you say Kenya has become a country of deception, it means therefore Kenya, nothing in Kenya that goes on that is right. And then I would be very cautious to actually link the impeached former deputy president with the truth, because I know him very well. He was a very close friend of mine, and he deceived me several times. So I would be very wrong to sit here before the national television and say that he was a very clean man, he used to talk the truth. There's one thing that we need to assess as a people. Why is all this happening? And why are we having all this? One thing that is very clear is that we have a situation, in the sense that the agencies, out of what we all know, frustration, for instance, joblessness, for instance, and many other factors, and their perception of the situation as it is, and maybe our understanding of the situation as it is, and the failures of previous governments, not necessarily the current government. Even if this government may have one or two things that we may say has not gone on right, the failures of the previous government since independence, we have all failed to create enough jobs. We have all failed to do the mathematics, to realize that we are discharging so many graduates. People are very educated out there to know proper livelihood support mechanisms. When we were finishing college ourselves, we were being weighted by job opportunities. The moment you finish, you have an engagement letter. Already. Actually, you are deployed, and then you're given a designation and start working. Good old days. So we went wrong somewhere, and we mismatched we continued producing. In fact, in the last, I think it was around Kibaki's time when we started multiplying universities. I know we have so many graduates, and then we realized, oh no, universities are not working. These are managers. They may not do most of the dirty work. So let's now try to do middle level colleges. So we are doing a lot of middle level colleges, and we are not asking ourselves one fundamental question. How do we absorb these people? That's a basic question, and that's what we should be answering instead of pointing fingers.
But I'm pretty sure this government had that answer checked in its manifesto. In the Kenya Kwanza plan, they had an ambitious plan of creating jobs. They were very aware of the problem at hand, hence the reason why they opted to give a solution.
You know,
I agree with you. Let me answer the question because I'm still answering. I want to agree with you, yes. This is the government. Here we are struggling to get this.
Okay.
This government is packaged in its own way. Those inside the government know how the government is. When you transfer this government, then you open it up and realize, oh, this is not what we expected. Although we have a super document here, we realize, okay, we might not implement this document because the means to implement the documents are not there. So what do? We need to reorganize ourselves and try to see how we can fast track what is doable so that we can be able to even catch up. In the process, there are other people who are also pulling you back inside and, confusing. So we need to appreciate the fact that we are living through a very challenging time as a country, and we need to appreciate the fact that making it look so bad to Kenyans and making it look so bad to the world does not solve the problem in the least. It doesn't start solving the problem. What will solve the problem is facing it and asking ourselves, where did we go wrong and how can we correct? And then appreciating the effort in correcting the mess. Because this government has spent most of its time correcting the mess.
Well, I think for us to be able to correct the mess, then we must be able to diagnose the problem. And for us to be able to diagnose the problem properly, we must use the proper instruments, we must be able to use the right frame of mind, and we must also accept the truth. We cannot continue with a lie, and then we imagine that in any way we are solving the problem. We can't bury our head in the sand. If looking at the Bitcoin headline that you have, I've spent my day in Mukurweini today. I was hosting. I actually hosted the Minister for Agriculture, CS for Agriculture, where my brother here is the chairman of the Committee of Agriculture. And he is supposed, of course, to be oversighting the CS. Why I really pitied them, Waziri. And Waziri Kagwe comes from Mukurweini. But when you look at him struggle to try and explain to people some of the things that are being done by government, you see him struggle so much, something that has not happened before, where he comes to explain to his own kin about the things that the government is doing. Why? Because he's coming to a ground that has already been messed up by the information that has been given by government before, and particularly by the president, that is not factual. The president did come to Nyeri and said that the milk farmers are being paid 50 shillings per litre of milk. Now, Kagwe was there today and challenged by the constituents, his people, to explain where is the 50 shillings. Is it that the government gave us 50 shillings and it was taken by the cooperative? Or is it that the government lied to us? He can't explain that. He becomes speechless when that is a task now to explain that. The government recently said that from 1st of July, and this was said in Meru, again, where my brother comes from, by the president himself, that the government has set aside money to produce what we call sexed semens, so that we can be able to have a semen which are going to produce calves that are female, and that sexed semen is going to cost 1,000 Kenya shillings. Now, my brother PS Livestock was in Mukurweini today, and I think he forgot that 1st of July is long past. He continued the same mantra about 1st July. And I had to stand and tell him, brother, those people are making noise because they are saying that semen is not here in Mukurweini that is costing 1,000 shillings. It is not there. And when you look at the budget, which my brother here should be able to know much more about than me, it is not there. It's not in the budget. And if it is in the budget, then it is hidden somewhere that we can see it. And if it is hidden, it is still not being utilized.
So did they explain why the delays?
I mean, there's no delay.
Okay.
That is, there's a hoax. It's a story. It's deception. It's not there. Don't wait for it. We have, again, Waziri Oparanya. Again, while making a speech in Meru, where my brother here was seated, and he even spoke in that meeting. I even tried calling him after that meeting. Oparanya said that he's implementing DSS because it is part of the coffee laws that we have passed in Parliament. Yet, the coffee bill, as we talk, Chairman will tell you here, is now under mediation. It has gone to Senate, it has gone to Parliament, Bunge, National Assembly, and now it is under mediation.
Okay.
And so it has not gone through. And so Oparanya now wants to tell Kenyans, I'm implementing this because the members of Parliament have now passed this. And of course, you know, he's just trying to implement regulations of 2019 that were, you know, looked at in 2019. And those are regulations, really. They are not, it's not part of the coffee bill. Now, Kenyans have said they do not want DSS. And why are Kenyans saying that they don't want DSS? Because they don't trust the government anymore. They know the government want to, first of all, put them in the box and then start taxing their produce. Something that the government shouldn't do because it's also not giving them the inputs and it's also not getting them the market.
Okay.
So those are some of the issues. Teachers are here saying, you have said that you have added us so much money, but we can't also see it in the budget. That money that you have been told it has been added. Nevertheless, even if the money was to be put in the budget through whatever means, the same money you are taking, all of it, through deductions that are so heavy and so hard on us as teachers. And of course, they are saying we will believe when we see. But even when they see, they won't enjoy the money because most of it will still have to be deducted. I mean, we have introduced SHA, and we say that this SHA is going to help Kenyans, and then we tell them that you're going to be paying monthly. NHIF, you're paying monthly. But once people are in it, after you're told that 22 million of Kenyans have registered, now they are told you cannot be served if you don't pay per year.
Okay.
You must pay the annual contribution for SHAS for you to continue enjoying. You go to a hospital like Mukurweini, you are told again, we have only insured 50 bed capacity. And yet the hospital is almost 150 beds. So the day it has more than 50 patients, the extra have to navigate around and have to be detained in the hospital. We are dealing with those kind of cases in our hospitals, and they have to have assessments every other day, and you wonder, are we still on teething problems until now? 2 years down the line. So we really are operating on an extremely deceptive system that unless it is changed, I'm telling you, the country is really headed the wrong direction. Okay. And we are saying this not because we hate the country, not because we don't like this country, but we are saying this so that the people who are pushing us toward that direction can then change. I mean, you have heard them say that we're even going to steal elections. Haven't you heard that? I mean, people on camera, someone says that it's your Siri, we are going to steal votes for Ruto. I mean, as a member of parliament, are you getting? Yes. And as also very close people also to him, saying that hata kura is potosha, tutaongeza. So you see, I mean, people now have gone so bold about lying, and they don't care about it anymore. I mean, you see the way, the lengths to which the government is going to create a narrative of violent maandamano, where young people are demonstrating and protesting so, peacefully. But you find that all of a sudden, Kamket told us that wacha wale vijana mmeletewa na Sakaja juzi kidogo, mimi nitawaletea vijana kutoka Pokot. I mean, what is he trying to tell us? And it is on video, and nobody asks him anything. In any case, what they're doing is now they're harassing the deputy commissioner of NCIC. I mean, you see a country really that is becoming so deceptive. Okay. When Kibaki was in power, he said that this is a working nation. And what happened? Everyone went to work. When he said that this is a corrupt, free country, I mean, men and women could arrest policemen on the road. That is how leadership shapes the destination of a country. Okay. And when the leadership gets it wrong, unfortunately, the country starts going down the drain.
So how to deal with this deficit of trust? Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was quite a mouthful.
Yeah, a lot has been said. I don't know where you'll start.
No, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Now, let's start with Kamkek. There is freedom of expression in this country. You can say anything, but did he bring anyone? Did he organize anyone? Is there any evidence that Kamket did anything? You see, when you speak as a member of parliament or as a leader or somebody, are you representing anyone in that? Are you representing the government? Let's ask ourselves very clearly. Was he releasing information from the government? Was he representing the government? No. That is a personal statement which is allowed by our constitution. Anybody says anything in this country. So you call president anything, you say anything. And nobody's asking, why are we finding it so serious?
So do you believe if it was someone from the opposition benches?
What have they said? What has the former, the impeached former deputy president not said? What has he not said? Can I answer your question? Allow me to answer questions. I give you total silence.
Kindly proceed.
Let me just say this. Yes. So whether Kamket has said or the other, we should ask ourselves whether there is anything linked to that, or where does Kamket get this from? If there is no linkage, counterfactuals again. Is there a cause effect? Is there any government involved in it? Nothing.
But it could be an insightful remark.
But so many people have seen so many bad things.
So two wrongs don't make a right.
And that's why we are saying, that's why he said we are living in a deceptive. So even that's part of the deception, because he was lying also. Now, let me go back to, I really don't want to talk about violent mandamano, although I can. But let me say just one small thing. Yeah. Nothing should lead us to violence. Nothing. And should we resort to violence? Promoting violence will not leave will not spare anyone. Let's not try to bury our hands in the sand. Violence is not a solution. And Kenyans have experienced violence many times. And that is why we went the constitutional way. That's why we took 10 years to do a constitution and several other years to verify whether this constitution is workable, so that we can probably, govern our country. So violence is not a means. Let nobody stand and say, I'm very happy about what the GCs did. Happy about what? Happy about people dying. We have seen teachers demonstrating in this country. We have seen doctors on the street. We have seen nurses rolling on the street. Have you ever seen anyone killed? No, because they never broke anybody's shop. They never stoned anyone. They never did anything outside the Constitution. The same Constitution which tells you that you can demonstrate non-violently, peacefully, without any weapons, goes back to say the police or the state has the jurisdiction, has the mandate. The purview of the state is to protect life and property. So the same Constitution ties you on the other hand, tells you protect, but tells you demonstrate, but not violently. When you become violent, then you break the law. Now, let me say that we need to reflect on what we are doing.
Okay.
If we want demonstrations, the teachers have always gotten a collective bargaining agreement. Doctors have gotten that. It may not have been implemented because of the circumstances, again, which have got to do with the economy, the status of the economy, and many other factors. Let me go to stealing elections. When somebody like I, as a member of parliament, whether ignorant or informed or anything, stand from wherever, I've stood before the crowd, maybe I'm excited and say whatever I want to say, because I have the freedom of expression as enshrined in the Constitution and provided for in Article, I think, 33. So does that make it, let me ask, by the way, I need to know, why did NCIC not do anything about that? But was it his speech? It wasn't. Now, let me say this. Why should we try to malign a government and we don't have an alternative? We did not have an alternative. What we need to ask ourselves is, how can we make it work as Kenyans? Because it will work for all of us, for our children, for the old people, for the young people, for our neighbors, for everyone. I don't think you are liked a lot. Try crossing the border if you have a problem here. Anyway, let me not talk about SHA a lot, but let me say one thing. I've dealt with 3 patients in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
SHA is working. SHA has spent about 33% of the bill, which means, therefore, SHA is doing something. So instead of branding it as a bad decision, as a bad effort and all that, it is doing something. Let's say what is good about it.
He didn't disagree that it's doing something. He just said that, some Kenyans are being forced to pay annually at one time, and it's a little bit of a burden to them.
But
don't you
do
think?
we also contextualize the problem? When there was a migration, I really am not an expert in SHA. I don't work in that ministry. But let me see.
Yes,
what
yes.
I know is that when we were migrating from NHIF to SHA, there was a debt.
Okay.
This particular debt was not paid. So when you get to SHA, you need money to process the bills, the payment. I mean, we are operating like we're in a utopic situation. This is reality. We are living this life. Now, let me look at the issue of the regulations.
Briefly,
the
as we take a break, yes.
Especially the DSS. I hope I talk about this before we go for the break.
Yes, yes.
Let me tell the Kenyan farmers, direct settlement system is not bad. Unless it is being demonized because it's likely to process the payment to the farmers or have to declare payment to the farmers. But let me tell the coffee farmers, ask the coffee farmers, do you know why we lost the coffee? We all uprooted coffee? Do we know why? Because these factory managers or the people who are managing this product decided to be thieves, decided to innovate loans. Have you ever heard of an inflorescence loan? At when the coffee flowers, you take a loan. There is a cherry loan. There is a sweet fertilizer loan. Fertilizer is okay. Some others make sense. When a coffee plant sprouts, when it gets flowers, you get a loan. These are people, the older cooperative managers were not schooled. So we handed over to the schooled young people whom we trusted. They used the intelligence to steal from the farmers. That's why the cooperative movement collapsed, especially in the coffee.
So DSS is the silver bullet.
The direct settlement system means that from the auction, whatever the farmer is owed doesn't go to the farmer, goes to pay. Whatever goes to the farmer goes directly to the farmer without going to the factory. That's what it means. So this process covers the farmer, cushions the farmer from any form of interference with their money. That's the DSS. That's what the law says. I did this law. I've been sitting in this, looking through and thinking through this. How can I protect this farmer? We have looked at that law inside out. I've listened to more than 35 serious stakeholders in this particular subsector. And the only way, the reason why we came to DSS, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
We have somebody here is considered to be a coffee miller. His name is John. Then the same coffee miller turns to be the coffee seller.
Okay.
Kanyuidhia. I'm John Kanyuidhia. Then the same person at the end of the chain becomes the buyer of the coffee, Mutunga. The same person over-concentrates the chain. That's the mischief we wanted to remove with this particular law. We said money for the farmer goes directly to the farmer from the auction. What's wrong with that? So if we demonize such a good initiative to help the Kenyan farmer, are we helping them? We are just messing up everything.
That's a key question.
Let me go back.
We have to take a break.
That is deceptive.
It is.
Well, you have
your
your right to reply.
Definitely. The law.
I will explain. I'll explain.
You may not even have.
I'll explain.
So let's do this. Let's take that break. When we come back, we'll have more deliberations on the DSS system, and you'll definitely have enough time. No problem. Let's pay our bills. We'll be back in a few.